What's good, y'all? Hope you guys are having a great day. Today's video, I wanted to announce that I'm giving out a 30% off discount code for my over 28-hour chess endgames course meant to get you into the top 1% of endgame players. If you're interested in that, you can go down to the link below, go down the description, plug in the discount code CHESS25, and you will receive 30% off on your purchase, whether you get the endgames course or no matter how many courses you decide to invest in. Again, the discount code for that is CHESS25, 30% off, only good through the month of September. Let's now head over to the video. Today we're going to be taking a look at what I consider to be the most important Caro-Kann Defense line that you as a Caro-Kann player can memorize, because we're going to be taking a look at the most popular options from white each and every turn, right? We shouldn't start out by covering the stockfish moves from white and how white should play. No, let's cover what white actually plays the most often and then go from there. So if you are playing the Caro-Kann Defense, if you're thinking about playing the Caro-Kann, I would recommend memorizing this line right here before anything else, right? Based on the fact that it's so popular. Every move here is the most common that you'll see according to the stats in online chess. Now, as many of you know, the Caro-Kann Defense starts out with the move of e4 from white, and black now gets to respond. Now, we could play d5 right now, and this isn't bad. I mean, this is the Scandinavian defense. I'm a big fan of the modern Scandinavian with the move of knight to f6. Such a fan, I made a course on that, which, again, there's that 30% off discount code, CHESS25, good through the month of September. But there is this move of e6 supporting d5, which is considered the French defense. However, with the French, you do get a potential French bishop if white goes into the advanced variation. Now, if you play the Caro-Kann and then you play d5 and you see white go into the advanced variation, which is the most popular move, played 39% of the time on Lichess. I mean, that's a pretty high percentage. So you're talking just about every 5 games you play, 2 of them, you're going to see the move of e5. In this case, we didn't play a French, so our bishop isn't stuck behind this pawn, or at least it often isn't, even if we go with the move of pawn to c5 here. And this is what I recommend. This is the Botvinnik-Carls defense. I've grown to really like this. I remember when I was growing up, I played the Caro-Kann, and I was really trying to make this bishop f5 move work. I'm pretty sure I saw it in a chess book, right? Learning how to play the Caro-Kann defense, and at the time, I was a very aggressive player. I liked open positions. I liked putting pressure on the opponent's king. Guys, this is one of the most boring lines ever invented, in my opinion, to this day. Okay, I can't stand it to this day. Maybe someday I'll like it, okay, for black, but I can't stand it. The last time I played it in a tournament game was in Las Vegas. I forget what year, but I lost in about 20 moves. I just got absolutely crushed. And I decided, okay, you know what? I'm not doing well with the Caro-Kann, right? I'm not even sure if I don't even know if I won a game with the Caro-Kann in tournament chess. It was bad. Okay, it was bad. Anyways, all that said, okay, Bishop f5 is not what I recommend. It's good, okay? So I'm not saying I don't recommend it in terms of like, don't play it. It's good if it fits your style of play. But c5 here is my favorite move, and this performs very well in online chess, putting a lot of pressure on the white side. And in terms of how well white has to play against either of the options, I think that bishop f5 gives white a lot of flexibility in terms of playing the best move, second best move, third best move, you name it, and white's okay. But with the move of pawn to c5, white needs to play well in these lines, as we're going to see now. I'm going to start out by showing, right, the memorization line, what I recommend you guys memorize, okay? Once we have that down, we're going to go back and kind of cover the other things that could happen. But let's start out with the memorization line. c3, the most common move from white. Knight c6, knight f3. All right, notice with knight c6, we're putting pressure on that pawn. White usually looks to defend that pawn on d4. I mean, that makes sense, bringing the knight out. If we do see that move of knight f3, we can take the pawn on d4. And once white captures back with their pawn, bishop g4, pinning the knight, which is defending this pawn. And notice, I mean, the second we saw the advance variation, we play c5. We're making a target out of d4. We're building up more pressure. Knight f3, we're building up more pressure by taking and then playing bishop g4 so that this pawn is locked in. It can't take anything, right? We traded off the c5 and the c3 pawns. In one sense, white does get the c3 square for their knight, which could be advantageous for them potentially. But on the other end of things, the pawn on d4 is no longer defended by a pawn, and this is the target that we're really going to try to go after for the rest of this game. The most common move here is bishop to e2. We have e6, castling kingside. Makes sense why this is so popular. I mean, white here is just trying to develop. But I mean, black has equality here, right? In a lot of ways. I mean, practical equality, knight ge7, and if we see knight to c3 here, right? In this case, I mean, again, very, very common move, the most popular option, but definitely not the engine choice because this knight is not doing a great job of protecting the pawn on d4. We're going to add more pressure up against it. And if bishop e3, we have bishop e7 developing, and with h3, here you can either play bishop to h5 or you can capture on f3. Okay, so it's really up until this point that you can memorize, up until the move of knight f5 and the move of bishop to e7. Memorize this, and then with h3, it's up to you if you want to play the bishop back or end up taking the knight. Okay, I personally like taking the knight on f3, and we'll cover this position in just a moment, but just one more time, right? What's our memorization line? c6, d5, pawn to c5, putting pressure on d4, and we're gonna continue doing that, right? Knight c6, pinning the knight once we capture on d4, right? Capture on d4, pinning the knight so that this pawn is locked in. We already got one attacker on it. We could have a second one coming, a third one coming, and we're pinning the knight to the queen, both of which are the only two defenders for that centralized pawn. So it's no surprise that white really struggles in this position according to the stats. For those of you that are trying to find a response against the Caro-Kann, I do not recommend e5. I don't think it's a great option. But all that said, bishop e2, right? What do we do against this? We play e6. We bring our knight over from e7 to f5, play bishop e7, calmly developing. We're going to be looking towards castling kingside in the Caro, not castling queenside here because of this open c-file that white could put a rook, a queen on, you name it. And then with h3, it's up to you, right? Do you want to play bishop h5 or do you want to take the knight? Now, I do want to say, if you do play bishop h5 and you see the move of g4, you're not losing, but you got to find the right move. There's only one move here for black that's not completely lost, and that's playing knight takes e3 because, I mean, your bishop and knight are getting forked. So you do got to, you know, do some careful play here in terms of not losing material. If you just move your bishop, you're going to be down a piece for a pawn. I know that white pushed their pawn like crazy, but, I mean, technically even if we take this pawn right now, it's nearly +3 for white. So what you want to do here is play knight takes e3. Now, hey, you want to take the bishop, go ahead. We take the queen. And if you take the knight, our bishop drops back calmly. Okay, so that is one reason why, hey, maybe bishop h5 is something you want to think about. You're putting pressure on white. You're looking towards castling kingside. And you know that if g4 is played, you have that knight takes e3 option available, right? All that said, okay, I personally like this move of bishop takes f3, as this really removes a defender from d4, and it allows us to put really nice pressure on the white side. And again, here from this point, right, there's different ideas that we're about to go into right now, but that's the memorization line. Okay, playing bishop e7, and then it's up to you if you want to take that knight or bring the bishop back when asked where it's going to go. Okay, now this position here. Okay, what should we play? Now, there's a few moves that I would say consider. I mean, honestly, rook c8 is good. Rook c8, solid move, right? Nothing wrong with that at all. a6 at some point can be advantageous. Castling kingside is definitely a very strong move here. And I would also throw in bishop g5 and queen to b6. Okay, now if you're castling kingside, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? We're just developing. We're getting our king to safety. We're going from there. Maybe we'll think about f6 ideas, chipping away at that e5 pawn. But if you're really trying to put pressure on d4 immediately, you could play queen b6, and that's a good option. You're putting pressure on d4 now with 3 attackers. Notice white only has 2 defenders right now. White only has a bishop and a queen, so white's got to be very careful here. We're also putting pressure on b2, though. So if white just goes, hey, I'm just going to, defend the pawn. Okay, well, thanks for b2, right? And if you want to play rook b1, do that all you want. We're going to take on a2. You can fly down and take on b7, but white's down a pawn now. We have a passer on the sideline that can advance very quickly. And yeah, I mean, all that said, the best move for white, and it's not close, is knight a4. Anything else in black is clearly the one with the edge or even the winning position. Here, it's up to you. Queen c7, very playable. Bringing the queen to d8, playable. I kind of like queen a5, just putting pressure on that knight, asking that knight, hey, I mean, are you going to stay there? Are you going to stay there defended by the queen, or are you gonna try to move? And here at this point, if you do see a move like pawn to a3, let's say we see that, you can take the bishop. You could, I mean, there's a lot of moves here, including b5. b5, advancing that pawn. And notice the knight's got to move, right? And if you move the knight to c5, we're going to take it. I know that white has a passed pawn here, but if they do end up taking, we have knight takes e3, queen c7. You have a passed pawn, but I mean, white's pawn structure is in shambles right now. Our pawn structure as a Caro-Kann Defense player is very strong, very solid, and that's exactly what we're going for as a Caro-Kann player, right? Oftentimes, Caro-Kann Defense players are playing out that opening and they're trying to get into a winning endgame based on the weaknesses that can come out of white overextending. So there's that move b5, right? And again, if knight c5, we can take that knight. We could also take the bishop, right? Either one of those is completely fine. If you do take the knight, for example, white could play bishop d2, in which case your queen's got to run. Yeah, I mean, there's just a really rich position here for the black side. Very pleasant, as you got knights on c6 and f5, both of which are very active. And of course, if you leave the bishop there and you take, we're just going to take your bishop right off, move our queen back. We're in a great spot. And if the knight goes back to c3, which is what white should do there, we can castle kingside. And I don't have any complaints here. I mean, we have one bishop, they have two, but I'm okay with that. This bishop on e3 feels like a tall pawn in some senses. You do have one nice diagonal here, but that's about it. The bishop is really stuck babysitting that centralized d pawn. Our bishop, on the other hand, I mean, look at the pawns around it. We got a light square pawn on f7, e6, d5, b5. That bishop has a lot of range and a lot of activity. We already know that both of our knights are very well placed, and we have a c-file that we could look to play actively on. We got b4 ideas to break this game open. We could look to activate our rooks. Our queen can always move back to a spot like b6, c7, you name it, depending on the position. I kind of like the idea of bringing the queen back to b6 as it puts pressure on d4 again. But yeah, I mean, this is a great spot. Now, that is one option, right? Again, there's multiple moves, castling kingside, rook c8, queen b6. A lot of these moves are interchangeable. I would say, though, that queen b6 is a great option. I also want to throw out the move bishop g5. Okay, bishop g5. Now, this idea isn't played as often, but it might surprise your opponents in this kind of spot. I mean, white in these kind of structures, if they're playing e5, they're very used to, at some point, seeing the move of queen b6. But when you throw out this bishop g5 move, you're kind of changing your approach. You're going, you know what? I'm not going to directly put more pressure on d4. I'm going to try to remove the defender on e3. And if white takes, it's just a bad idea for them. Queen takes g5. I mean, we got two attackers on that pawn. And if the pawn on d4 falls, e5 is going to get weak. So white doesn't want that. On top of that, we'd have a protected passed pawn on d5. So, okay, I mean, white here, they gotta guard their pawn, right? They could play knight b5. They could play knight e2. If you see knight b5, there's multiple options, including queen e7 or castling kingside, which I personally kind of like. And if you do see the knight drop back, knight h4, play aggressively here. Why not? Knight h4, you're threatening to take the bishop, and white can't even take back because that pawn is pinned. If the king wants to run or something, then we mess up white's pawn structure. If white plays queen d3, queen f5 is something to think about, offering a trade there. I mean, if white wants to run away with the queen, cool. We take on f3, and again, white's pawn structure, one way or another, is going to be horrible on their side. I mean, if you take with the g pawn right now, we just take the pawn on h3, and that's fantastic. And if you take on f3 with the queen, fine. We can't win a pawn here, but we can take on f3, play a move like rook c8, king d7 on the way. You know, move this knight. We're fighting for that active file. And when we're talking about weaknesses here, I mean, d4 is standing out to me as a major target still. There's no pawn defending it. There's no pawn that can defend it, and it's stuck. Our pawn on d5, on the other hand, Okay, it can't move, but it is defended by a pawn, which is defended by a pawn. All right, white, on the other hand, their pawn structure is definitely messy. Definitely messy on the king side. So it's black here that's pushing for a win. This could very well be a draw with great play from white, but you just play natural moves here. You play a good end game, and you're gonna be pushing for a win there. So I personally am a big fan of that bishop g5 move. Again, if white takes, we're going to take back with the queen. If the knight goes back, I like knight h4, and I kind of like queen f5, offering a trade there, double attacking that bishop. And okay, if white wants to take the queen, we take back with the knight, and this isn't as good as our position previously, but I still like it. We got two attackers on d4. We're the one putting the pressure on white. We're the one that can play king d7. Our king's more centralized than theirs, and we're in a good spot. But again, y'all, going back to the move of bishop g5, white shouldn't take the pawn. I mean, that's a very playable move for white to go with, but white shouldn't do that. White should go with the move of queen d3, queen d2, right? White should find a way to defend the bishop, not just take the bishop and allow our queen a very active spot on g5, aim towards the king on g1. Now, if we do see this, right, if you do see this kind of option, you could take with the bishop, right? That's a very playable move. I mean, take with the bishop and then play queen g5. You get your queen on g5 anyways. If you like your bishop, if you don't want to give your bishop up, you can take with the knight and then end up going with something like castling kingside. You have f6, queen e7. F6 is really a move that we want to play here to break open that king side and start putting pressure on the white camp. I mean, this is perfect for us when we're thinking about bishop versus bishop here. Sure, their bishop is eyeing up our pawns on the light squares. Our bishop is eyeing up their pawns on the dark squares, but their pawns are just so much weaker. E3 in particular is the base of white's pawn chain, and I don't think anyone's arguing that f7 is weaker than e3 in this position. Obviously, in the opening in general, f7 is very weak, but we're castled, and this pawn's very secure. The pawn on e3, not so much. You got to be very careful about that if you're playing as white. So let's return real quick to this move of c5, the Botvinnik-Carls defense, and just cover some other options that we can see. Okay, we're going to be covering the second most common options from white at various spots just to see what you could see, at various points in the game. So knight f3 here, it is played. It's played, a little bit. Again, it's the second most common move. c3 is played by far the most. But okay, if you do see knight f3, you can snatch off the pawn on d4 if the knight captures back. You have knight to c6 offering a trade, and white often here takes and then plays bishop to d3, which is, hey, I mean, that's a good option for them. At this point, notice what white did. White did not allow our bishop to go to f5 or g4. Both of those are covered. So, okay, we play e6. But I'm okay with this. I really am, because white doing this made them, get themselves into a spot where they only have one pawn, one centralized pawn, and it's all the way down on e5. We have two centralized pawns, and these connected pawns on the D and C files can be very dangerous for us. At some point, we could play c5, in which case we're wiping out half of the fourth rank, and our bishop at some point can become very active on b7. We could also look towards a trade on a6 as well. Now, most commonly from this point, we have castling kingside from white, knight e7, great move for black, really eyeing up squares like knight g6 and knight f5, and if f4 played quite a bit from white, we can throw in a check. I love this idea. Throw in a check, and then from this point, which bishop is better? The bishop on d3 or the bishop on c8? Our bishop on f8 actually has a much more bright future ahead of itself compared to the bishop on c1, because our bishop here has a bunch of light square pawns surrounding it. But this bishop on c8 is, it's having a hard time right now. It is, compared to the bishop on d3. So what do? We trade it. Bishop a6. We trade it. If they want to take, we capture back with the queen, and knight f5 is an option. I like the idea of h5, h4, expanding nicely on the king side there. We can look to develop our dark square bishop. c5 is always an option. Our rooks can get developed. I mean, this is just a very pretty pleasant position. So keep that idea in mind as well. With c3, and us playing knight c6, bishop b5 here. Okay, bishop e5 here, played quite a bit, and it's a good move. It's a good move for white. I'm going to be throwing out an option that is more rare. Okay, I want you guys to try to just be able to get something out of these videos. Okay, I want you guys to be able to get something out of these, some kind of off-ball options that aren't as common. And the engine loves this move of queen a5. Okay, queen a5 here is a move that puts pressure on the bishop. And there's a lot of ways for white to go wrong here. Now, what white should do is take on c6, right? And then from this point, there's different options. White could take on c5, in which case we obviously capture back. White could play knight to d2. The most common move in online chess is bishop d2. And if you see this, when you see the pin on your knight and you throw your queen out, you see the capture, you then see the bishop eyeing up your queen, what do? You just step back to b6. You now got two attackers on d4, and you're attacking the hanging pawn on b2. So, I mean, white's got to respond to this. They usually do, but not in the right way. Usually we see the move of pawn to b3, in which case we're going to take on d4 and then capture again. Capture again with our queen. And, I mean, there's so many ways for this position to go wrong for white. Any move for white is over -2 for black, right? The second best option, knight c3, for example, right? What do we do against that? We take on e5. Knight e2. What do we do against that move? We take the rook, okay? The best move here, though, very rare, is knight f3. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of this move, okay? Because we're not going to take the rook. If we take the rook, white actually has an edge, which obviously is not what we want, because white can play the move of queen c2. And notice there is nowhere for our queen to move. Our queen is trapped. Now, it's not trapped in the sense that white is winning it right now, but our queen can't move anywhere safely. If we try bishop f5, hoping that white will take so that we can take on a2, white has a mate in 3. Queen takes c6. If we move our king, bishop a5, the game is over. If we block a 1 and 2, that's it. So what do we do here? Play calm, bishop to d7. Unfortunately for us, there's just no way for us to get that queen out right now. And, hey, I mean, if we see the move of bishop c3, we'll now play bishop f5. That's great. The queen can't jump over the bishop. And if you take on f5, we take on a2, and our queen's out. We're good. We're at material. However, all right, white shouldn't play that move of bishop to c3. White instead should just go, yeah, I'm gonna castle. Just play calm here. Now white has knight a3 ideas, trapping the queen like so. Knight c3 ideas as well. And, we got to play d4. We got to cover that square. I mean, that's a great place to start for us. And, the theory here gets kind of crazy. If knight a3, we actually have a d3 option, which is part of the reason we play d4. If the queen takes on d3, we take on a2. If you take our queen, we take yours. So d3 there. Talk about, just a clutch attempt of getting out of that trap, type of position. But, of course, the engine here says white should play some crazy move like rook d1 or bishop a5, and the game keeps going from this point, but white is better. Again, if you see the move of knight f3 in this spot, don't take the rook, queen d3. Beautiful move. I love that idea. What's going to kick the queen out? White doesn't have a pawn on e2 or c2, which means a pawn can't kick the queen out. They don't have a light square bishop. Their knight on f3 can't attack the queen. The knight on b1 is 2 squares diagonal, so it's 4 moves away, geometrically speaking, from even getting to the square of d3. And I like our chances here. Hey, if you play queen c1, which is the best move for white, we could play bishop d7. Again, we got to guard c6. We got to make that happen. And if something like knight c3 at this point, hey, we could play bishop g4 at this point. Again, the queen can't jump over the pawn. We could play rook to c8. We could play e6. We could go with that, although I'm assuming a lot of y'all would probably rather play bishop g4 first and then play e6. And if white moves this knight to a4 or something to attack our pawn, we just defend it with the rook. Our rook can now get to c8 very easily, which is great for us. So with knight c6, just keep that in mind. If bishop b5 right now, try out queen a5. It does well for black, and it puts the pressure on white in a major way. If knight f3, as we know, we're taking on d4 here. Okay, that's huge. Taking on d4. A lot of players here just go, hey, I'm going to pin the knight. If you do that, white can take on c5. And, hey, if we play e6, white could play bishop e3. White could play b4. White does have the edge there. If we go, hey, I'm gonna take this guy on e5. What does white have now? Knight takes knight. I mean, this is not good, right? I mean, I know that we win the queen, but what does white have now? Bishop b5 check. They're checking us on the long diagonal, the long side check there. But we don't have a knight. We don't have a bishop in play. We got to block with the queen. And you know what's happening now. The bishop takes the queen. Our king runs. They grab the knight. They take f7. I mean, we can take the bishop. In this case, they could take the rook. But is the rook able to run? No. Is this bishop able to run? Of course. So white could take the bishop first and then just say thanks for the rook next. We're already down 4 points in material, and we're about to lose our major piece in the corner. So again, guys, in this spot, okay, very, very common position. Don't play bishop g4. Take on d4 first. Make it so that that pawn can't take on c5 and then pin the knight. You want to lock in that weakness and then go from there, okay? Now if we see bishop b5, e6, knight e7. You want to play h3? We can take on f3, play knight f5. Such a key idea going after that pawn. And if you want to defend it, okay, we play bishop e7. Now I do want to mention this idea as well, right? If you see g4, okay, similar to last time, we'll take on e3. That works. You could also play knight h4. Not the engine move, but it does give you a better position according to the engine. And then knight on h4, it is on the rim, but it is very active. So I actually don't mind that at all. But taking on e3, right, is the engine move, followed by castling kingside. And as always, we're looking at f6 ideas, chipping away at the center. We're looking at queen b6. The c8 square would be a great spot for one of our rooks. And we're just in a great, type of Caro-Kann defense game. With bishop g4, if we do see the most common move of bishop e2, we already know that we're playing e6 and then tucking the knight to e7, looking towards f5. And white will often play h3. But if they do that, you're kind of making us do what we wanted to do, which is get rid of the defender on f3. That was defending d4. When you take back, queen b6, knight f5 is also great, but queen b6, by doing this move, notice that you have two attackers on d4, and if white defends it with bishop e3, which is the only way for them to do that, our queen is in position to take b2, which is why in that position I do consider queen b6 better than knight f5. Right? If you play knight f5 there, obviously the knight doesn't move like that. I got to learn how to draw arrows better. Come on, Solomon. But yeah, the bishop could defend. The bishop could go to e3, and then there's no way for us to automatically take on b2. But if we play queen b6 and they defend, we're in position. That's great, right? And again, as we know with knight c3, we have knight f5, we have bishop to e7, and then if you do see h3, you can decide, hey, do I like to bring my bishop back, or would I rather take on f3? That's up to you. Let me know which one of those you prefer. I hope that you found this helpful. And again, just one last time, that main memorization line. I'm just going to click through it real quickly here. We're going to take bishop g4, e6, bring that knight to f5 fast, bishop e7, and you're good from this point. And you're just going to be using very standard type Caro-Kann defense ideas. If they don't play h3, okay, you have castling kingside, you have queen b6, you have putting a rook on c8. When you know the ideas here, this is a very comfortable, pleasant position for black. For white, not so much. They're very busy trying to hang on to their centralized pawn on d4. That can't even move. Quick reminder, through the month of September, giving out that 30% off discount code, which is good for all of my online courses, including my over 28-hour course on chess endgames. If you're interested in that discount code, plug in the code of chess25 and you'll get 30% off no matter how many courses you decide to invest in. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you in the next video. I wanted to finish this video out by giving a big thanks to Walter, Steve, Rob, that's a lot of Robs, Ray, Roger, and the rest of my Patreon community. I appreciate you guys a ton. If you guys haven't checked out the Patreon before, there are some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next video. Peace.